Welcome to the Bitchin' Siblings Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of our This and That. It's just Jenny and I this week. Say hi, Jenny.
Hi, everybody.
This week, I am in charge of our This and That, and this week's theme is travel.
Ooh. Did I have a theme last week? I think I just picked random.
Yeah, last week's theme was food.
Yeah, it was food.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. So, and again, keep this in mind, like, you're traveling there, okay?
Okay.
Thailand or Hawaii?
Thailand.
Why?
This is going to get unintendedly political, but as of right now, the general vibe I get from Hawaii is that it's overrun with tourists right now, and they can't sustain their own lifestyle because it's getting too expensive for the locals to live, because a lot of people are going there and buying up rental properties or houses and then using them as Airbnbs. And so I feel like, unintendedly political here, I have not heard that is what's happening in Thailand. Yes, I know it's a third world country and there's lots of homeless people there. I understand, but so for right now, my choice would be Thailand.
So I actually would also go with Thailand. One, because I've been to Hawaii once.
Yeah.
And I always want to see somewhere new. And I've heard amazing things about like the beautiful rainforests and stuff. And
yeah,
I always want to see somewhere new. So
yeah.
So Mexico or Costa Rica?
So I've been to Mexico. I've never been to Costa Rica, but I've only been to Cancun. So I would honestly like to say Mexico, because I've been to Mexico and I've had a couple of friends who've gone to Costa Rica, and they said it rains a lot and there's a lot of bugs. And I'm sure there's places like that in Mexico, but Mexico is also a very big country and Costa Rica is not as big. So it's probably easier to go to other places that aren't rainy and gross. But I'm just also a huge tequila Mexican food fan. So, I mean, that's also part of what sways me.
So while I was making this list, my thought was that I'd go to Costa Rica because everybody goes to Mexico. But after hearing your little thing, I'm gonna go with Mexico because, like you said, it's big. There's so many places to go, and there's some like very historic places in Mexico that I actually want to see, like the I can't remember what it's called, Machu Picchu. Never mind, that's in Peru, but still.
Yeah, I think that Costa Rica is beautiful. I've seen pictures, but I just feel like there's more in Mexico. I am fascinated by the Mexican culture. So that's more my vibe.
Yeah. All right. Caribbean or Tahiti?
Tahiti. And
what's your reasoning on that one?
It sounds prettier.
That's it.
I don't know. I think like when you're growing up, like you always hear of like this one place that everybody went, and it's like that was on your bucket list. A lot of people I know have been to Tahiti and loved it. And I feel like Tahiti is probably, yes, it might be more touristy in the sense that, but I feel like Cancun and like Mexico and the Caribbean is a lot cheaper to go to. So sometimes it's more of the younger crowd, and I would prefer more of the older, grown-up, quieter crowd, and I feel like I'd get that in Tahiti. Again, this is just my thought. I don't know off from personal experience.
So my vote is also Tahiti. When I worked for the airline, I did lots of research about different destinations, and that was one of the ones that started being on my bucket list. And they have those cabanas, or not cabanas, but huts over the water where like individual, like you can literally just dive off your balcony into the, blue, beautiful water. I want that in my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Agreed.
We're keeping it a little close to home this time. Yosemite or Yellowstone?
Yellowstone.
Why?
I don't know. To me, it seems like there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to see. It's bigger. You could go a million different times and see something different every time.
Yeah. I've been to Yellowstone, and I have never been to Yosemite, so I'm going with Yosemite.
I mean, yeah. If
So.
I hadn't been to one, I'd go to the other.
Yeah. And Yellowstone was absolutely beautiful. I went summer of 96. And
wow.
yeah.
Back before people were stupid.
Yeah. And they weren't like petting on wild animals or trying to pet on wild animals.
Taking photos and video of them because everybody didn't have a cell phone back then.
Exactly. But the part that like interested me about Yellowstone wasn't so much Old Faithful, but the paint pots. So,
see, and I feel like
that was really cool.
I mean, yeah, you have to go see Old Faithful or whatever, but I feel like there's so much to see that is just not as famous or popular. That is just as stunning, you know, and fascinating. So, and then when I was done with Yosemite or Yellowstone, I'd go to Yosemite. But
of course, they're not that far away. Come on,
no.
Paris or Barcelona?
Barcelona.
Why? Barcelona, Spain, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Spain has been on my bucket list my whole life. Again, Mexico, very, 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 very interested in the Mexican culture, which derives from the Spanish culture. You know, like I'm right. No,
not Mexican, but Spanish.
Yeah, no, they're more of the South American. But I don't know. I am fascinated. Spain and Greece are on my bucket list, but Spain first. The food, the culture, the color, the vibrance, the music. It's just, oh my gosh. I don't know. I was either born Arab or Spanish in another life.
I'm going to also go with Barcelona. My best friend from high school, she has been all over Europe, and she told me that every time she's been to Paris, it smelled like urine.
I've heard that too.
So I really don't feel the need to smell urine.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's the long and short of it. I'd still want to eventually go, but of those two, I'd take Barcelona over Paris.
Oh, yeah.
Miami or Ibiza?
Which one has less drugs?
I actually don't know. Honestly, okay, so here's... I don't know where Ibiza is. No clue.
Isn't Ibiza in, like, off the coast of Mexico or something?
No clue. Legit don't know.
Don't ask me. I'm not the geography queen here, but yeah, I don't neither. It's not my scene.
Of those two, I would take Miami just because it's not. I know as much as not international. I wouldn't have to worry about getting back. And Miami beaches, I hear, are beautiful. I'd go there, check out the beaches, and leave.
Yeah.
So.
Just so that you know, Ibiza is a small island in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Spain.
Okay.
Like on the Mediterranean Sea side, not the Atlantic side. So in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Spain. North of Africa. So
now that you know that, do you want to go to either place?
I mean, Ibiza, just because I have been to the Middle East. I have been to the Mediterranean Sea. And the Mediterranean Sea is spectacular. It's just, so I would go there just for the beaches, but not the scene. Okay. I'm not a partier.
Yeah. No, I get that. All right, we got two left.
Okay.
Australia or New Zealand?
Probably New Zealand.
Why?
Because I feel like Australia is so big, and the amount of land that is not populated at all is so vast that I feel like you would be spending most of your time in the same basic area. Whereas New Zealand, you could go over the entire island, you know? Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's more.
What would you want to see in New Zealand?
I would want to see the animals and like I don't know if they have like deserts and forests. I don't know the topography, the beaches, the animals, I don't know.
So I'd want to go to Australia because I feel like the array of animals that I'd get to see would be more in Australia versus New Zealand. Don't get me wrong. I want to go to both, but Australia actually has been very high on my bucket list my
Interesting.
whole life. Actually, so we had I believe he's a fourth cousin. We always called him Uncle Henry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when he was in the Coast Guard and he went down to Antarctica, they took a boat off of Australia. And when he was there, he got me a shirt from Australia.
Oh.
And ever since then, when he brought that back, I've wanted to go. Like, because it's got the outline of the country, and it's got different animals in different parts of the country. So, like, I'd always look at the shirt and be like, I want to go there. And I want to see those kangaroos. And I want to go there. And I want to see, So, and by the way, I still own that t-shirt.
That's awesome.
It's in my, like, safekeeping box. So
That's so funny.
Yeah. All right. You ready for the last one?
Yeah.
All right. Santorini or the Amalfi Coast?
Santorini.
Why?
Because Greece is number one on my bucket list.
Is Santorini the one that's got, like, the white hills and stuff?
And the
like,
blue,
everything's
the blue
white
tops on the tops. Yeah.
Okay. That would be my place too, because, like, I've seen picture. Okay. I'm just gonna put this out there, and go ahead and crucify me, world. It's okay. I'm okay. I have been out of the United States twice. Well, like 4 times, but one location was to Vancouver, British Columbia. And I've always been told that doesn't count because we lived in Washington.
Correct.
And that was literally across, it was an extension of Washington.
Yeah.
And we went up there when people I knew would turn 18 because that was the drinking age up there, 18 or 19, something like that. Anyways,
18.
yeah, so you'd go up there to go drinking. And then when I was 15, I went to Tijuana on a church mission trip. And I've also been told that doesn't count because Tijuana is just an extension of California. But according to those rules, I've never been out of the country.
I feel like I agree with the Washington one because we're so close to Canada that it is going out of the country, but it's not. And I don't know about you, I have not been back over across the border to Canada since 9/11 because then you needed a birth certificate to go across because it used to be you had to have a passport, to get across. You didn't used to have that. You just had to have ID. And so, I didn't ever have a passport.
If you went when anybody turned 18, it was after 9/11.
No, because I turned 19 before I graduated, and then 9/11 happened 3 months later.
Oh, that's true.
Like, I literally turned 19 the day before I graduated. So most people, even though I was 19, were just turning 18. So.
And I turned 18 literally 1 month to the day after I graduated.
Yeah.
So, and that was 9 months after 9/11.
Yeah. So like, I mean, we did not go back up to Canada after that because everybody that I was friends with was 18 before we graduated.
Quick story time on that, because I was going up there after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
We got up to the border and we showed our documents to get in. No problem. We come back and they're like, "Where's your passport?" And I was like, "Oh, they told me I didn't need one. I have these documents." And they looked at me dead in the face, straight faced, and said, "You believed a fucking Canadian?" And I was like, "Dude, we're all on the same team. This is the border."
No, because
Canada
it's not. Doesn't care because Canada doesn't need the passport to get in. You need the passport to get back into the United States. So Canada doesn't need it. So of course,
But apparently, if you are, an 18-year-old girl who's crying because now you're screwed and you have a Washington driver's license and a social security card and you have, like, documents showing that you get mail at an address in Washington, they'll let you go through. Or at least they did.
Yeah, no. Because I know that because I didn't have a passport and I wasn't going to buy a passport just to go to Canada when... I didn't go that often. And,
yeah.
So, But I feel like because we didn't live in Washington, or we lived in Washington and not in California, I believe Tijuana counts. Now, if you live in Southern California, and I'm talking like LA down, because it's about 2 hours, saying you've been out of the country doesn't really count if you just went to Tijuana.
Yeah.
But for everybody in between, I think it does count because you have to go at least 4 or 5 hours, you know?
Yeah. And in all fairness, this was summer of 90.
99,
Had to
it
have been
would have
99.
been a junior.
It would have.
So you would have been a freshman.
I had just finished freshman year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been 99.
No, it couldn't have
Yes.
been 99 because 99,
Yes.
2000. Oh, you're 98, 99. It was after, so yeah, because
the last digit of the year. Okay, the grade that I finished was always the last digit of the year when I finished it. So I finished 9th grade in 99. I finished 10th grade in 2000.
Oh, interesting.
I'm special like that.
Yeah, because you graduated 2 years. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
I graduated in 02. You graduated in 01. I didn't graduate
you
2
didn't
years.
graduate in 03?
No.
I've only been out of the country 3 times. Again, Canada, Mexico. But Mexico, I didn't go to Tijuana. I went to Cancun. And then Israel this last summer. Actually, you know what? I've been out of the country 3 times, but I've been to more than 3 countries because technically while we were in Israel, we were also at one point in Jordan.
Where is Jerusalem?
In Israel?
Okay. I legit don't know. Like, it's somewhere over there.
All of the major religious places, Nazareth, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, they're all in Israel. Except Bethlehem is technically not in Israel. It's technically in Palestine, which is a country inside of Israel.
It's a country inside a country?
Yes. It isn't pretty much to my mother-in-law when we were there was like, it's an outdoor prison. Pretty much. They have a huge concrete wall that goes around it. And if you're an Arab and you live in Palestine, which is either the West Bank, which is Palestine pretty much, or like the Gaza Strip, I think is the other place, you are not allowed into Israel.
So how do you get to other places without going through Israel to get out?
You have to apply for like a travel permit or a travel pass or something. But so like we were able to get in, like anybody can get in to the West Bank, i.e. Palestine, but not everybody can get out.
Interesting.
And you have to show your passport to get back into Israel.
Interesting.
And then while we were on our way down to the Dead Sea, at one point we were in Jordan for a while because it's like right there. It's like across the Dead Sea.
When you were really sick, you were in Palestine?
Yes, I was in Bethlehem.
Okay.
We went to Bethlehem. We were supposed to be there for like 2 days, and we had to leave the next day because I was violently ill. Like, the most sick I've ever been in my entire life. It was bad. And we have no idea how I got sick because everybody else ate the same thing as me and nobody else got sick. So I don't know. But I had to have been the stomach flu because it literally was 8 hours. And then I was just really, really tired. But for about 8 hours, I was in the bathroom straight and then I was fine.
Yeah.
I'm not fine, but like, you know what I mean? So it's not
Yeah.
like it was the stomach flu. Like I legitimately had food poisoning because it came on. I think we went to dinner like at 7 or 8. We got back to the hotel and by midnight I was throwing up. But within an hour of laying down, I was like, something's not right. My tummy kind of hurt. So I went and took like a bath because I thought, maybe I'm just tired or maybe I'm sore or dehydrated,
Yeah.
And then went and laid in bed. And then an hour later I started throwing up. I was like, nope, that's food poisoning. So
Lovely.
it was awful. But yes, we were in Palestine, which is also quote unquote the West Bank, and it is behind a big concrete wall with barbed wire, and it is manned by the Israeli police with machine guns. They check your passport to get back in. They
Interesting.
Yeah, but anybody can go into Palestine.
All right.
Because Palestine wants because that's where Bethlehem is. That's where like the tourist stuff is. That's where Mary's church is. It's where obviously the manger and the birthplace of Jesus is, and that's all in one area on the square of Bethlehem.
Interesting. So, note to anyone out there, if you're going in that area, just make sure you have proper documentation to get back out of Palestine.
Well, if you get into Israel before you go to the West Bank, you'll get back into Israel.
Okay.
Because to get into Israel, you have to... My husband is Arab, and he had a expired Israeli passport because, fun fact, you can carry dual citizenship if you are a citizen of Israel and the United States. So my husband is a citizen of both, but he had not been back to Israel for, I think the last time he said he went was in 99. So this was his expired. And he could get in on his American passport, but he could not get out on his American passport. Now, he was able to because of COVID. The way that it worked was we were able to get into the country, but we had an appointment the very next day for the Department of the Interior, the department, or whatever they call it there, where he had already filled out all the information to get his passport, but he had to go in and answer some questions. And then we did not get his passport, his Israeli passport, back before we left, but because of COVID, the ministry was so far behind on paperwork that if you had had your appointment and had filled everything out, they would let you leave on your American passport.
Interesting.
But because he was born in Israel, he can go in on his American and in on his Israeli and out on his Israeli. That's it.
Interesting. That's very weird.
Yes.
That's something that I'd love to deep dive as to why you can use 2 to get in, but only 1 to get out.
A lot of it has to do with where he was born. He's Arab Christian, and the government is run by the Jewish community, and they have very strict rules about Christian Arabs and Muslim Arabs.
Got it.
So if you're Jewish,
All
the
right.
rules are different. You can leave on any passport.
Got it. Okay.
Sort of thing. Like when we went through
Okay.
security, the kind of questions they asked us, I've never been asked. They were like, who were you visiting? Okay, we were visiting family. And they were like, are you married? Yeah. How long have you been living together? Do you have children together? And we were like, well, we have children separately, but not together. Well, how old are they? What are their names? Like, why do you need to know what my children's names are 3,700 or 30, like, what is it? It was 6,700 miles away. Like, but and it's because he's Arab and not Jewish.
Interesting.
And not Jewish religion. I'm talking the
people from
the people
Jerusalem.
of Jewish descent. This is not a religious thing. This is a
Okay, so wait.
It is technically race. It is technically a quote unquote race of people.
So there's Jewish faith and there's Jewish race.
Yes.
You're
You
blowing my
can
mind over here.
be Jewish faith and not necessarily Jewish. Like, I have a girlfriend who is Jewish by birth because it follows a bloodline, but she was also
Okay.
Jewish by faith. People can be born into the Jewish descent and not follow Judaism. Does that make sense?
No.
Like, it's like a let's say one parent was African American and one parent was white. Both the traits come down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you can be half black and half white,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Judaism is the same way. If you have one parent that's full Jew and one parent that's not, you can be half Jewish through, I think it's your mom's side. Your mom's side carries the Judaism race gene, it's religion. So she was half Jewish and she could have choose another faith and be Christian, but she'd still be Jewish by blood. Amy is like, mine is boggled.
You broke me.
Now,
That
this
broke
is
me.
this is what I've heard. This is what my perception of what's been explained to me is that Judaism is a faith, but it is also a race, quote unquote, of people, and the oldest, from my understanding, of people. Like the Judaism faith goes, like the Judaism race line, like as a race of people, goes all the way like back to the beginning of time, from my understanding. And I started reading up on that because I did that 23andMe test, and I had a friend of mine do it, and he had part of the Ashkenazi Jew in his line, and I don't. And so I was like, what does that mean? What is an Ashkenazi Jew? It has the word Nazi in it. I was like, what does that mean? That's I've never heard that before. So then I looked it up and then I started reading and I kept going back. And my understanding is it is a race and a faith. But if you're not born Jewish, like into a Jewish, like if you are born Christian and you choose to go to the Judaism religion, that's fine, but you're not Jewish by blood. And with that, we conclude our this and that segment. Total tangent there.
If anyone has any cool this and that they want to send our way, please feel free to email us at Ginny and Amy podcast@gmail.com. That's GINNYANDAMY podcast@gmail.com.
You can also send us messages on Instagram at Bitchin' Siblings Podcast. Bitchin', BITCHIN. No G in there.
No, there is a G.
Is it? Am I wrong every time I do this? Scratch that, everybody. It's bitching. And I had to put the G in it because I think somebody else had the other one. So that's maybe why I'm getting this mixed up. Because I think our actual name is Bitchin'.
Yeah, it is.
So that's why I get confused. My bad.
No worries. Anyways, guys, have a great night, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.